Good evening, and welcome to this long, unhurried hour. A whole hour with nothing in it but quiet stories and your own slow breath. You have done enough today. Whatever got finished, got finished. Whatever did not, will keep until morning, the way fruit keeps ripening on the branch whether we watch it or not. Nothing needs you now. The door of the day has closed softly behind you. So let yourself be here fully in this warm and quiet place. Feel the bed beneath you, wide and patient. It has been waiting for you all day. Let it take your weight now, all of it. Your head growing heavy on the pillow, your shoulders sinking, your arms resting where they lie, as if they had always been lying there. Somewhere outside, above the rooftops or the hills, the moon is crossing the sky. It moves so slowly that no one has ever seen it move. And yet, by morning, it will have traveled the whole night through without hurrying once. Tonight, you can move the way the moon moves. Slowly, softly, arriving without effort. Take a long breath in through your nose. Let it fill you gently, like moonlight filling a quiet room. And let it out through your mouth, slow and warm. Again, in, unhurried, and out, a little heavier. There is no clock in this hour. There is nowhere to be. Sleep will come when it comes, and it will come on its own. Tonight, I have 8 old stories for you. Stories from the East about farmers and turtles, gardeners and wrestlers, frogs and moons, and the wide, patient sea. They are all, in their own way, about the same gentle thing. That life ripens by itself. That nothing needs to be rushed. That you can stop pulling and pushing and hurrying and simply let the night carry you. You do not need to remember the stories. You do not need to stay awake for them. If sleep takes you in the middle of the very first one, that is a perfect ending. Let your eyes close now. Let your jaw be soft. And let us begin slowly with a farmer who was in far too much of a hurry. Long ago, in the old kingdom of song, there lived a farmer who was known through his whole village for one thing. He was impatient. He walked faster than other men. He ate faster than other men. When the village gathered to talk in the cool of the evening, he was always the first to finish his sentence and the first to leave. His neighbors used to smile and say that one was born a day early, and he has been trying to catch up ever since. In the spring, the farmer planted his field with rice. He did it well, for he was not lazy, only impatient. He flooded the paddies. He set each green seedling into the soft mud, row after row after row. And then, like every farmer in song, he waited for them to grow. Except that he could not wait. Every morning he walked out to his field and stood at its edge and stared at the seedlings. They stood in their quiet rows, green and small, with the water shining around them and the clouds drifting overhead. He measured them with his eyes. He crouched down. He squinted. "They're not growing," he muttered. They were growing, of course. Everything alive is growing in its own season, at its own pace. But they were growing the way rice grows, the way the moon crosses the sky, too slowly to be seen. His neighbor's field lay just across the path, and his neighbor's seedlings looked, to the farmer's anxious eye, a little taller than his own. This he could not bear. He lay awake at night on his mat, listening to the frogs sing in the paddies, thinking, "My rice is behind. My rice is losing. Something must be done." And one morning, he thought of something. He went out to his field at dawn, rolled up his trousers, and waded into the mud. And there, bending over the first seedling, he took it gently between his fingers and pulled it upward. Just a little, just a finger's width. The seedling sat up taller in the mud. The farmer looked at it with enormous satisfaction. "There," he said, "now you have grown." And he moved to the next one and pulled it up a little, and the next, and the next. All morning he worked his way along the rows, hundreds upon hundreds of seedlings, pulling each one a finger's width taller out of the mud. The sun climbed and blazed and began to sink. His back ached. His legs were caked with mud. But when he stood at the edge of his field in the last light and looked out, every plant stood taller than his neighbors, and his heart swelled. He walked home through the dusk, exhausted and triumphant. His family was waiting with the evening rice, and he sank down beside them and announced, "I am worn out. I have been helping the crops grow all day." His son, who was quiet and thoughtful, set down his bowl. Helping them grow, he asked, "How does a man help rice grow?" "I pulled them up," said the farmer. "Every single one. You should see them now. Tallest field in the village." The boy said nothing, but at first light he ran down the path to the field, his heart already knowing what he would find. And there it was, row upon row upon row, the whole field of them. Every seedling that had been pulled from the grip of the soil, lying limp and withered in the morning sun. Their fine roots had been torn from the earth that fed them. Not one of them could be saved. The farmer stood at the edge of his field for a long time that morning, and the story does not say what he felt, but it has been told for more than 2,000 years, and it always ends with the same soft truth. You cannot pull the rice taller. You can plant and water and keep the weeds away, and then you must let the field do what fields have always done. Grow in the dark, grow in silence, grow while the farmer sleeps. And perhaps, lying there in your bed, you know something about pulling. Pulling on the days to make them go faster. Pulling on yourself to heal faster, to change faster, to get somewhere sooner. Pulling on sleep itself, some nights trying to force it to come. But tonight, there is no pulling to do. You have planted your day. It is done. Now you're the field in the darkness, and everything that needs to grow in you will grow on its own, quietly, while you rest. Growth does not need your effort. It only needs your sleep. So let go of the rows. Let go of the measuring. Breathe in slowly, and breathe out, and sink a little deeper into the dark, kind soil of your bed. The moon has moved a little further across the sky. No one saw it move. And here is the second story. Many years ago, a traveler was walking through the hill country on a road that followed a river. He was a clever man from the city, and he carried in his head all the newest ideas of his time, the way a peddler carries pots and pans, always ready to sell one. In the heat of the afternoon, he came upon an old gardener working beside the river. The old man had dug a channel from the river to his vegetable garden, and he was watering his plants in the most laborious way the traveler had ever seen. The old man climbed down into the well he had dug. He filled a clay jar with water and held it against his chest. He climbed back up, slowly, one step at a time. He carried the jar along the rows, tipping a little water at the foot of each plant, watching it soak into the soil. And then he walked back, climbed down, and filled the jar again. Down and fill, up and carry, pour and return, over and over in the warm afternoon light, at the pace of a man who had never once been late for anything, because he had never once been early. The traveler watched from the road, and his cleverness began to itch. At last he could not help himself. He called out, "Old father," he said, "do you not know there's a machine for this? It is called a well sweep, a long wooden pole balanced on a post with a weight at one end and your jar at the other. You dip it, and it lifts the water for you, light as a feather. With such a machine, you could water 100 gardens in a day. 100 gardens with less effort than you spend now on one." The old gardener stopped. He set down his jar, and he looked at the traveler for a long, quiet moment, with eyes that were neither angry nor foolish, but very calm and very clear. "I have heard of such machines," he said. "My teacher told me something once, and I have never forgotten it. Where there are clever machines, there come to be clever ways of doing things. And where there are clever ways of doing things, hearts begin to grow clever too. And a clever heart is never at rest. It is always scheming, always measuring, always hungry for the next faster thing. It saves time, and then it cannot sit still inside the time it saved. The old man picked up his jar again and smiled. "It is not that I do not know about your machine," he said. "It is that I would be ashamed to need it. When I carry water, I carry water. I feel the jar against my chest and the cool of it and the sun on my back. My plants get what they need, and so do I. Tell me, friend, where is it that you are hurrying to?" And the traveler, who had an answer for everything, found that he did not have an answer for that. He walked on down the road, but they say the question followed him for the rest of his life, arriving quietly in the evenings, the way the smell of rain arrives before the rain. Where is it that you are hurrying to? Perhaps the question has found its way to you too, resting there in the dark. So many machines, so many faster ways, and still the heart is not at rest. But hear the old gardener now, from across all those centuries, speaking softly, just to you. You are not going anywhere tonight. There is nothing to save time for. This hour is not on the way to any other hour. When you breathe, just breathe. When you rest, just rest. Carry this one slow moment the way the old man carried his jar. Feel the weight of your body and the coolness of the pillow, and let that be the whole of the world. Down and fill, up and carry, in and breathe, and out and rest. And while you rest, the third story comes, walking slowly up the riverbank. In those same old days, there lived a sage called Chuang Tzu, a man so wise that his words are still read by lamplight all over the world, more than 2,000 years after his death. But in his own lifetime, he was mostly known for wanting nothing. He lived simply near the water. He fished a little. He walked a great deal. He watched cranes lift off the marshes at dusk, and minnows turning into shallows. And he was, in his own quiet way, one of the most contented men who ever lived. One morning, Chuang Tzu sat on the bank of the River Pu, with his fishing pole in his hands and his mind on nothing at all. The river slid past, wide and brown and patient. Dragonflies stitched the air above the reeds. And along the road came two officials in fine robes, dusty from a long journey, with the seals of the king of Chu carried carefully in their hands. They stopped behind him. They bowed deeply, though he did not turn around. "Master Chuang," they said, "we come from the king himself. His kingdom is vast, and its affairs are heavy, and he has heard that you are the wisest man alive. He asks you to come to the capital and take charge of all his ministers and administer everything within his borders. Wealth, honor, power, all of it awaits you. You have only to stand up and come with us." Chuang Tzu did not stand up. He watched his fishing line, where it entered the slow brown water. And after a while, he said, "I have heard that in the king's ancestral temple there is a sacred turtle. It has been dead for 3,000 years. The king keeps its shell wrapped in silk in a carved and gilded box, high on the altar, and twice a year the whole court bows down before it." The officials glanced at each other. "That is so," they said. "Now tell me," said Chuang Tzu, "if that turtle could choose, would it rather be dead and honored and wrapped in silk on a golden altar, or would it rather be alive, dragging its old tail through the cool mud of the river?" The officials looked at the river and at the reeds and at the mud, soft and brown and glistening in the morning sun. It would rather be alive, they admitted, dragging its tail through the mud. "Then go home," said Chuang Tzu, and he smiled at the water, "and leave me here to drag my tail in the mud." And the story says the officials bowed and went away, and Chuang Tzu sat by the river all that day, poor, unknown to the court, and perfectly, entirely free. He had understood something that is very easy to forget, that a smaller life, fully lived, is worth more than a grand life lived in a box. That the cool mud of an ordinary evening, an ordinary bed, an ordinary breath, is a richer thing than all the silk and gold that ever wrapped an empty shell. And look at you now, alive and warm and breathing in the dark, not on an altar, not performing for anyone, just a living creature at rest, in its own soft place, with the whole slow night ahead. The turtle would envy you tonight. So settle down into your own cool mud, dear listener. Let the honors and the duties and the opinions of the world stay wrapped in their boxes until morning. They keep very well without you. Breathe in the quiet and breathe out, longer, slower, letting your whole body soften into the dark. The moon has climbed a little higher now, and the fourth story is waiting in a temple by the sea. In the early days of the old capital, there lived a wrestler named Onami. His name meant great waves, and it suited him, for he was enormous. His shoulders were like the beams of a temple gate. His arms were like mooring ropes. When he walked through the market, the crowd parted around him the way water parts around stone. And Onami was strong. In a practice hall, among friends, no one could touch him. He threw the other wrestlers as easily as a wind throws leaves. Even his own teacher could not stand against him. Everyone agreed, in private, that Great Waves was the finest wrestler of his generation. But Onami had a secret, and it was this. In public, he lost. Whenever the tournament drums sounded and the crowds pressed in around the ring, something in him crumpled. His heart pounded. His breath climbed high into his chest and stayed there, shallow and quick. He saw all the eyes watching him and heard all the voices and thought of all the ways he might fail. And his strength, his beautiful strength, drained out of him like water from a cracked jar. Young students he could have lifted with one arm pushed him easily from the ring. He was ashamed. He trained harder, and it did not help. He slept less, and it made things worse. The harder he pulled at his own courage, the more it withered, like rice pulled up by an impatient hand. At last, Onami did something the strong rarely think to do. He went to ask for help. In the hills above the town, there lived an old Zen master named Hakuju in a small temple with a leaking roof and a view of the sea. Onami climbed the path one evening and knelt, huge and miserable, on the master's floor and told him everything. The old man listened all the way to the end. Then he was quiet for a while, and the evening wind moved through the temple, and far below, the sea breathed against the shore. "Your name is Great Waves," said the master at last. "So tonight, stay here in the temple. Sit quietly and stop trying to be a wrestler. Stop trying to be strong. Stop trying to be anything. Instead, think only of great waves. You are not a man who is afraid. You are the sea. You are wave after wave after wave, rolling in from the deep, sweeping everything before you. Do not perform the waves. Become them. Sit with this one thought and let it grow all night. And by morning we shall see." Then the old man went to bed and left the great wrestler sitting alone in the dark hall with a single candle and the far sound of the water. Onami sat, and at first his mind did what minds do. It wandered to the tournament and the crowds and the shame. But each time, gently, he brought it back. Waves. Only waves. He pictured them far out at sea, in the dark, rising and falling with no one to watch them. He pictured them rolling toward the shore, unhurried, one after another, never doubting, never rehearsing, each wave simply arriving, breaking, and sliding back into the hole. The candle burned low. The night grew deep, and slowly, so slowly he never noticed it happening, the waves came in. He felt the floor of the temple lift and settle beneath him. like a slow swell. The sound of the sea below seemed to move closer until it was in the room, until it was in his chest. The waves rolled through the hall. They rose around the altar. They carried away the flower vases. They carried away the incense bowls. They carried away, at some hour he never remembered, the last small watcher in his mind, the one who was always asking, "How am I doing? What will they think?" The waves carried him away too. There was no temple. There was no wrestler. There was only the great water, rising and falling under the moon. Toward dawn, he slept. And the story says he slept the way the sea sleeps, vast and deep, and without a single dream of losing. In the morning, the old master came in and found him, and smiled at what he saw in the big man's face. "Nothing troubles you now," he said. "You're those waves. You will sweep everything before you." And that very day, Onami entered the tournament, and he won. Not fiercely, not desperately, easily, the way the tide comes in. And from that day on, the story tells us no wrestler in all the land could defeat him. Now, you are not entering any tournament tonight, but perhaps you know that small watcher in the mind, the one that sits up late asking, "How am I doing? How will tomorrow go? What will they think?" And perhaps you know what it is to be strong all day and tired underneath it. So do what the wrestler did. Let the waves come in. Your breath is already making them. Listen, in like a wave gathering far out in the dark, and out like a wave sliding home along the sand. You do not have to perform this night. You do not have to be anything in it. Wave after wave after wave, and each one carries something away. The vases, the bowls, the watcher, the day. You are the sea now, rising and falling under the moon. And the moon, moving without moving, has crossed a little more of the sky. Here, at the bottom of an old stone well, begins the fifth story. Once in a green corner of the countryside, there was a well. It was old and half forgotten, its stones furred with moss, and in the cool water at the bottom of it, there lived a frog. The frog had lived in the well his whole life, and he was, it must be said, extremely happy there. In the morning he swam his circles, once around the east side, once around the west. At midday, he sat on a wet ledge between two mossy stones, the finest ledge in the well, which belonged to him alone. In the evening he looked up at the round window of sky far above, and watched it turn pink, and then violet, and then fill with a handful of stars. Sometimes the moon itself crossed his round window, and on those nights the whole well filled with silver, and the frog thought, "There cannot be a finer home in all the world." "Mine," he would say to himself with deep satisfaction. "The water is mine, the ledge is mine, the moon is mine when it visits. I'm a master of this entire well." One day, a shadow fell across his window of sky. A huge head looked down. It was a sea turtle, ancient and barnacled, who had wandered inland on some errand of her own and paused at the well's rim. "Come down," called the frog, delighted to have a guest. "Come down and see how well I live. I have water for swimming and stone for sitting in my own private piece of sky. What more can anyone want? Where do you live?" "I live in the sea," said the turtle. The frog considered this. "Is it as wide as my well?" he asked. "Half again as wide, perhaps." The turtle was quiet for a moment, the way the very old are quiet when the very young ask an enormous question. "Little friend," she said gently, "the sea is wider than 1,000 wells, than 1,000,000 wells. If 10 floods poured into it, it would not rise. If 10 droughts drank from it, it would not fall. It was old before your well was dug, and it will be young when your well is dust. It has room in it for whales the size of hills, and for pearl divers, and for 10,000 kinds of fishes no one has ever counted. And every evening, The moon you think visits your window rises out of my water, and every morning the sun washes its face in it. The frog sat very still on his ledge, trying to imagine it. A well with no walls. A window of sky with no rim. His small heart beat quickly. And the story, the old story from Chuang Tzu, ends right there with the frog at the bottom of his well, silent, amazed, his whole world suddenly grown 1,000 times larger, and not one stone of it changed. Nothing was taken from him, you see. His water was still cool. His ledge was still his. The moon would still visit. Only now he knew that beyond his round window, there was more. Endlessly, generously more. And this is a good story to fall asleep inside. Because your day is a kind of well. It has walls and duties and a small round window, and all day you swim your circles in it, east side, west side, and it can feel like the whole of the world. But it is not the whole of the world. Beyond it is the sea, the long years, the wide earth, the sky over everything, the great slow life that holds your small days the way the ocean holds its fish. Tonight you do not have to solve the well or escape it. You only have to remember the sea is there. Let the walls of the day soften and fall away in the dark. Let the window widen. You are floating in something far larger and far kinder than the day's small worries. And it has been holding you all along. Breathe in, wide as the sea. Breathe out, slow as the tide. And drift. The sixth story is small and sweet, and it fits inside a single moment. There's a tale the old teachers told, and it begins with a man walking across a field at the edge of the mountains, thinking of nothing in particular. As he walked, he heard a sound behind him, and when he turned, his heart leapt into his throat. A tiger had come out of the tall grass, and it was watching him. The man ran. The tiger followed in long, easy bounds the way tigers do. The man ran until the field ended, and it ended at a cliff, and there was nowhere left to go. But over the edge of the cliff hung a thick wild vine, rooted in the rocks. The man took hold of it and let himself down over the edge, out of the tiger's reach. He hung there, catching his breath. Above him, the tiger's face appeared over the rim, whiskered and patient. Below him, far below the ground, and when he looked down to measure the drop, he saw a second tiger, pacing at the foot of the cliff, looking up. One tiger above, one tiger below, and the man between them, holding his vine. Then he felt a faint trembling in the stem. Two mice, one white and one black, had come out of a crack in the rocks above him, and they were nibbling at the vine, taking turns little by little, the white one and the dark one, the way day and night take turns nibbling at a life. And it was just then, hanging between his two tigers on his slowly thinning vine, that the man saw it. Growing out of a cleft in the cliff face, an arm's reach away, a wild strawberry plant, and on it, one strawberry, perfectly ripe, perfectly red, warmed all afternoon by the sun. Holding the vine with one hand, he reached out with the other and picked it and ate it. And the story ends as it has ended for 1,000 years, with 4 small words. How sweet it tasted. That is the whole story. The teachers never explained it, and neither will I. Not really. Only this. There are always tigers. Yesterday prowls above us. Tomorrow paces below, and time nibbles at every vine. That much is simply true, and it was true long before you were born, and the old teachers knew it and smiled anyway. Because the strawberry is also true. This moment, this one, is hanging ripe on the cliff face of the night. The warmth of your blanket, the softness of this pillow right now under your cheek, the breath moving in you sweet and slow, this one and this one. No tiger can take the taste of it. So taste it. Let tomorrow pace. Let yesterday watch from the rim. You are here in the sweetest and safest part of your whole day, and it is delicious, and it is yours. How sweet it tastes. And the moon slides on, another finger's width across the heavens, and brings the seventh story about a woman who carried the moon in a bucket. Long ago, in a mountain convent, there lived a nun named Chiono. She had come to the convent with a sincere heart, and she worked harder than anyone. She rose first and slept last. She studied the old writings until the characters swam before her eyes. She sat in meditation until her knees ached and the incense burned down to cold ash. She wanted more than anything in the world to understand, to wake up, to grasp, at last, the great truth her teacher spoke of. And it would not come. Years passed. Other students came and went, and Chiono still carried her wanting everywhere, the way a traveler carries a heavy pack, up every stair, into every silence. The truth remained just beyond her fingers, like the far bank of a river, like the horizon, like the moon. One autumn night, it was Chiono's turn to fetch water. She went out under the full moon to the spring below the convent, carrying an old wooden bucket. It was a very old bucket. Its boards were worn thin, and the strips of bamboo that bound it together had grown brittle with the years. She had asked once or twice whether it might be replaced, but convents are poor places, and the bucket held water mostly, and so it stayed. She filled it at the spring and lifted it and began to climb the path. The night was still. The pines stood black against the sky, and as she walked, Chiono looked down, and there in the bucket, trembling a little with each step, floated the moon. It was so beautiful that she slowed her pace to keep from spilling it. The full moon, riding in her bucket of dark water, so round, so silver, so close. All her life she had been reaching for the moon, and here it was at last in her own two hands, and she carried it up the mountain path as carefully as anyone has ever carried anything. And then, halfway up the path, the old bamboo binding gave way. There was a soft crack. The worn boards of the bucket fell apart, all at once in her hands. The water dropped out of it entirely, one silver rush gone into the dark ground. No more water, no more bucket, and no more moon. Chiono stood on the path, holding the broken pieces, staring at the place where the moon had been. And in that moment, the story says something in her broke open as simply as the bucket had. All the years of straining, all the reaching, all the carrying fell away with the water. She looked up, and there was the moon itself, vast and calm, sailing free above the pines, exactly where it had been all along. She had been trying to carry it in a bucket. The real moon had never needed carrying. Afterward, she wrote a small poem, and it is the poem that has crossed the centuries. In this way and that, I try to keep the bucket together, hoping the weak bamboo would never break. Then suddenly, the bottom fell out. No more water, no more moon in the water. Emptiness in my hands, and emptiness in her hands weighed nothing at all. For the first time in years, Chiono stood on the mountain path, carrying nothing whatsoever. And they say she laughed, all alone in the moonlight, the light, easy laugh of someone who has finally set down her pack and found that the road walks itself. Dear listener, you have carried buckets too. Everyone has. Some idea of how the night must go, how sleep must be grasped and held and kept from spilling. Some worry, patched and rebound year after year, carried up the path each evening because it feels too important to set down. Let the bottom fall out of it now. You do not have to hold your sleep together tonight. You do not have to carry the moon. Open your hands, they're under the covers, and let them rest empty, palms soft, fingers loose. Whatever spills, let it spill. Whatever breaks, let it break gently. The real rest, like the real moon, is already sailing free above you. It was never in the bucket at all. No more water, no more moon in the water, only the quiet mountain path and the pines, and you, standing lighter now, with empty hands, almost home. And now the last story, the oldest and softest of them all. The story they used to tell at the very end of the evening, when the fire was low. It is about a little doll made of salt, and it goes down to the edge of the sea. Once long ago, there was a doll made entirely of salt. She had been made far inland, in a dry and dusty country, and she had never seen water in her life. But one night she dreamed of a sound, a great slow breathing sound, hush and hush and hush, and when she woke she could not forget it. And so she set out traveling, as dolls and people do, to find the thing she had dreamed. She traveled a long way, over plains, through villages, across the beds of rivers that had long gone dry. And at last, one evening, just as the moon was rising, she came over a final dune and stopped. Before her, stretching away to the very edge of the world, silver under the moon, lay the sea. It moved slowly all along its enormous length. It breathed, hush and hush, just as it had in her dream. She had never seen anything so vast or so calm, and she could not tell whether it was one thing or a million things, water or light, moving or perfectly still. She stood on the wet sand at its very edge, and she called out, "What are you?" And the sea answered in its long, slow voice, "Come and see." So the salt doll stepped forward and let the first small wave touch her feet. And a strange thing happened. The water did not push her or pull her. It simply held her feet, cool and gentle. But when it drew back, her toes had gone, melted softly into the sea. And where they had gone, there was no pain at all. Instead, there was something she had never felt before. She could feel the wave itself from the inside, its coolness and its slow strength, as if a part of her had become a part of it. "Oh," said the salt doll softly, "now I begin to see." She stepped further in. The water rose around her ankles, her knees, and everywhere it touched her, she dissolved little by little, and everywhere she dissolved, she grew. She felt the pull of far tides. She felt the moonlight lying on the water for miles. She felt the deep places where the water is always still, and the shallow places where it plays among the stones. With every step, there was less of the little doll and more of the sea, and it did not frighten her. That is the heart of the old story. It felt like coming home, like a river reaching the valley floor, like a long journey ending at a warm door. The wanting she had carried all her life grew quieter and quieter and quieter as the water rose. At the very last, when the water reached her lips, the salt doll paused. There was one small piece of her left, one last grain of the traveler who had crossed the dry country, asking questions. And she asked her question one final time in a whisper, "Were you?" And as the last wave closed softly over her, she heard the answer, and the answer was her own voice, vast now and calm, and breathing hush and hush along 1,000 shores at once. "I am you." That is the end of the story. The salt came from the sea long ago, and to the sea it returned, and nothing was lost. Nothing at all. There was only the doll's small, tight, careful shape, opening back into the wideness it had come from. And sleep, dear friend, is exactly this, and it is why I have saved this story for last. Every night, at the edge of the dark, you set down the small, careful shape of yourself, the name, the plans, the worries, the day, and you dissolve gently into something wider. And nothing is lost, nothing at all. In the morning, the shape gathers itself again, rested and new, The way salt is gathered from the shining flats at dawn. The water is around your ankles now. It is cool and kind, and it holds you. There is nothing more to listen to. The stories are all told. The farmer sleeps beside his field, and the field grows without him. The old gardener has set down his jar for the night. The turtle rests in the cool river mud. The wrestler is dreaming of waves, and the waves are dreaming of him. The frog watches the moon cross his round window. The strawberry has been tasted. The bucket lies open on the mountain path, and the moon sails free, needing no one to carry it. And the water rises a little more warm now, up and around you, and every muscle it touches lets go. Your feet are gone into it, heavy and warm. Your legs dissolving, slow and pleasant. Your hands, open and empty, are melting into the tide. Your shoulders, the back of your neck, the small watcher behind your eyes, the one who asks, "How am I doing?" is lying back on the water now, looking up at the moon, asking nothing at all. You do not have to hold your shape any longer. The sea is breathing for you. In hush, and out hush, in so slowly, and out so long and low. The moon has crossed the whole sky tonight without hurrying once, and no one saw it move, and it arrived. You will arrive too. You are almost there now. Let the last wave come when it wishes. It is not coming to take you away. It is coming to carry you home. Hush and hush. Good night. Sleep deeply all the way to morning, and let the wide, kind water hold you all night long.